Posts.
All right, we are live. JC, welcome back to the bright side.
What's up, my friend?
All good here. Just another day in paradise and staying on that bright side of the road. You know, I was going to play a little Van Morrison while people were coming in. Bright side of the road. Give everybody a minute to come on in. Good old Van the Man. Love his music.
I wonder how many kids know who Van Morrison is. I know that my 17-year-old, and I think I'll take credit for that, he knows who Van Morrison is. He listens to that music. But I don't think kids know.
You know, I think there's a few songs like maybe Brown Eyed Girl and things like that that have made it through parties and celebrations over the years that I do believe that people do know the name. He is a legend. He's been around a long time and seen him many times.
So, you know, it's something interesting, an interesting observation just popped into my head before we start riffing that has to do with the bright side is how much music has changed. I mean, I know you're a big Grateful Dead fan. We just talked about Van Morrison, but music tends to be a subliminal message. And we're going to talk a little bit about routines and things like that. But the music that was drilled into our heads through our childhood had a tendency of helping us see the bright side.
Yeah. You know, I just watched an incredible special on John Lennon. He would have been 80 years old last week. And what I didn't realize was he was 40. He had taken off for 5 years to raise his son. And he had just put out an album. And you want to talk about the words and the lyrics to his album and how applicable it is to the world that we're in today. But yet that was 40 years ago. So he would have been 80 last week.
Wow. An 80-year-old John Lennon. I don't know about that. We'll see. I still picture him in bed with Yoko.
Yeah, that was an Annie Leibovitz picture, that Forever, cover of Rolling Stone. I mean, that was, they of course, they portrayed that as well as they had the police, they had the nurses, they had just all the details, and all the people were 40 years older. It's pretty wild to watch. So people are coming in, so why don't we get started? For those of you that weren't here last time, we're creating a series here called The Bright Side, where there are two ways to look at a situation. A lot of people are just stuck and caught up in the dark side when they have a choice that they can see the bright side. And JC and I, we were talking about how do you get up every day? Which side are you on? And what are some things to do to help you get to the bright side? And we talked about morning rituals and how important they are.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, it's interesting that word choice, you know, I saw something and I posted it on my Instagram the other day and I loved it. It says in between B and D is C. And what that stands for, if you write down a B, a D, and then a C in the middle, it means in between birth and death are choices that we make. And it's interesting because that's really the game of life. It's really just about, you know, the choices that we make. Because if you think about it, we talk about this all the time. Just looking at the bright side is just a choice. You know, is it the better choice? It sounds like the better choice. But if you see the bright side of something, does it mean that it's actually bright? Or is it just your choice to see something? So I've just been really into lately, a lot of my readings and my writings have just been about the observation that most of what we think is based on our perceptions. So if we can start to learn how to set ourselves up to see the side and embrace the things that support where we want to go, rather than hold us back from where we want to go and send us the wrong way, which I think a lot of people, you know, we talk a lot about our program. And one of the things that we've identified is that most of the problems are happening upstream from emotional mismanagement, which, case in point, is just the fact that stuff's always happening. But we can look at the stuff and see it the way we want to. That's based on our perception. but what's really in our control is how we react to it. So one thing that you and I have resonated with on a big level, and it kind of brought us together in the beginning, was not only that we both had podcasts and that we both kind of had this, you did Howie Doing It and I do the Rise Up with Dragon. But also we also noticed that we had a very, very distinct routine. Now I know that started a long time ago when my life was in full chaos. And it started with, I read a book a long time ago called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod,
Right.
which was the
Great book.
basis of, great book. And of course, big ego me, I was going to recreate the whole thing and do it my way. But that's where I started that process. And it's transformed my life. But I noticed that you had that one too. So why don't we just take this time for the sake of the listeners and share our daily routines and how that sets us up for success, and maybe talk a little bit about how it's changed your life.
So one of the first things that I did when I realized I wanted a different routine is I left the phone outside my bedroom, because I found myself looking at it and falling asleep sometimes, cradling it, right? So there I was reading and looking and just going deeper and deeper into no man's land with the phone. And then the first thing I would do when I would get up is check it again. And when I got the advice that maybe the best thing to do is don't bring it in your bedroom. Once I started doing that, I opened myself up for a different way of falling asleep, which was reading. Reading books that were going to make a difference. And I could fall asleep reading. So it was more peaceful. It was better on my eyes. And when I got up, one of the things that I really did too was I didn't look at the phone right away. I took the book and said I was going to read for 15 minutes and just start by reading and then start a routine of writing after I would read. A gratitude journal, writing things for my daily Howie Doing It show, getting ideas. And the biggest challenge early on, I wanted to look at my phone. I'm addicted. I'm an addict. And I wanted to look at it. And I was getting up at 5. So what was really going to go on in the middle of the night that I had to see that couldn't wait? So for me, the phone thing was gigantic, and books. So book instead of electronic, and writing. And those, I'll let you go now. I know there's more to it. Those were just some of the initial things to start.
Yeah. So I remember I was playing with a lot of that stuff. And for those of you just joining us, we're just talking about morning routines. And the concept of it is, there's structure, but it's all about setting yourself up for success. Now, this show is called The Bright Side. So the idea is, seeing the bright side of things. It also it requires being in the right mindset. One of the things that I identified about the whole process of getting up is there's this very delicate part of the morning. Now, I identified a long time ago that once I get up in reaction to like how much sleep I need and all that stuff, and my kids are up and all that, my day's done. I become a victim of the day immediately. So the first thing I did is I started getting up earlier. So it started off with an hour earlier. It's to the point now where years now I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning. Now, do I like getting up at 4:30 in the morning? I can't say that I like it, but do I like the alone time and the time that I have to set my day up? I love it. I cherish it. So that's the first thing. Even if you get up a minute earlier than you currently get up, you automatically send a message to the universe that says, today's different. Today I'm in control. So that's one tip that I learned. But there's this very delicate time when human beings in the morning, remember, we're setting up our day so that when somebody says something stupid to us, or when something doesn't go wrong, or we catch ourselves caring about stuff that just doesn't freaking matter. It's about switching yourself in that moment with the right headspace so that you see the bright side of things, right? A lot of Buddhism in there and Stoicism, but there's this fragile moment when you move from unconscious to conscious, which you would assimilate as when you go from having your eyes closed to open. In that very, very instant, you're susceptible to the day. The external starts to enter. You're in dreamland. So one of the things that I did that I want to share, because when I published my book, I did a whole chapter on my morning ritual. It's called the Rise Up Great Day Morning. But I just want to share some nuggets from it that people can put into action right away. So with that fragile moment right there, when I move from unconscious to conscious, I take advantage of that moment by setting the tone for the day. And I consciously do that. I'm unconscious, but I've learned how to consciously seize that moment and say the words, thank you. Now, that might seem silly to some people, but what it does is it puts me automatically, before I'm even awake, puts me in a state of increasing gratitude. Now, remember, everybody's problem is that they're worried about tomorrow, the mystery of tomorrow, or the history of yesterday, which you have no control over at all, right? So when you experience gratitude, it's the superhighway to now. So the first words out of my mouth are thank you. Now, when I say thank you, what am I thankful for? I'm breathing. I got another shot, right? My eyes are opening. I wiggle my feet. My computer's starting to boot up. It's working. Thank you. But then I evolve that thank you. 5 seconds later, I start to focus my thank you on my children, good friends like Howie, right? And opportunity, potential, all that stuff. And I start to be thankful. So now I'm in a state of gratitude, right? Now think about this. Most people talk about morning rituals. They want to know about the exercise, the journaling, and the affirmations and all that stuff. I'm telling you that all that stuff is great if you set up this early part. So I say my thank yous, and then the next thing I do is I sit up. Well, first of all, I got to give credit where credit is due. I roll over and I give the chicken a big, big whopping kiss, and I whisper her in her ear because I want to help set her day up. And I whisper her in her ear that I love her. Makes me feel good to say that. I'm thankful for her. And that's important because a happy chicken is a happy dragon. So the next thing I do, Howie, is what's that?
No. For those that don't know, chicken is Beyonce.
That's right. And our podcast, and I sleep with the chicken. Our podcast is called Rise Up with Chicken and Dragon. It's about relationships. She's a sex therapist, very funny, but very meaningful. But here's the key. Here's the key. This is my magic moment right now. When I put my feet on the ground, the first thing is I have a cue. You know that on our program, we always teach people about habit forming. Right? So I need something to trigger my mind and my mechanics for the day. I need something to trigger. So my cue is two things. The first thing I do is as soon as I touch my feet on the ground, right in front of me, positioned the night before, are my sneakers. The whole concept of lacing them up, it's very big for me. So I put my feet on the ground, right? But right before I put my shoes on, I say out loud, now you can ask the chicken, I've been doing this for years. Out loud, I say these words, how can I help? Now, the reason why I say that is because I want to be in service to others. It's what makes me feel great. Everything else is coming, but the first thing I do is I say, how can I help? Now, I challenge anybody to say thank you, like I say, and then start your day and say, how can I help? And just put yourself in service and gratitude. That alone will change your entire life. But then the next thing I do, just quickly, I put my feet on, I lace them up. Sometimes I say I'll lace them up, right? And because that means that exercise is going to happen. Because you know that the inner critic in your head is just going to, like a high-powered attorney in a courtroom, is going to campaign for the idea of doing nothing and hitting the snooze button. So you need all these things. So then, of course, I go to the bathroom. And then I do a lot of things that you do. And I'll let you go a little bit more into yours. But I like to have a cup of coffee, and I always read and I write and I prep my day. I like to get all those things done. But my headspace is in order.
Something that I've developed has been a morning meditation ritual. I use the app 10% Happier. And it was something that I always wanted to do. And as disciplined as I am, a friend of mine, Brett, said, why don't we hold each other accountable? And at the end of the meditation, there's a little button you hit that you share it with somebody. And we're well into it now. We've been doing it for a few months. It's really just a nice way to check in with him every day. And that is something that for people that want to make a change, that sometimes, even though they put their sneakers at the edge of the bed and they put them on, they still don't go to the Peloton. They still don't go for the walk. They still don't go for the run. I suggest an accountability partner. I know how it helped me with meditation. And we're talking about a 15-minute meditation. And it's just a way to slow everything down, to, again, get to that grateful place to where you're setting yourself up to win the day. So meditation has been put in there. Obviously, exercise is what I call my medicine. So also, like you, I'm out the door. I try to get out the door by 6:30 and then, spend a couple of hours outside, doing my Howie, doing it, but also getting in exercise, because then pretty much, you're indoors most of the day in this world that we're in today. So I just think it's so important to have a routine, to get some fresh air, get into nature, and give yourself some physical habits as well as mental habits to prepare to live on that bright side.
Yeah. And, technology is a big thing. I write a lot about this, and I'm always in observation. One thing I can tell you that I've definitely adapted. So first of all, there's the nighttime as well. Chicken and I have established something that we learned from our program. All of our clients that come on program, we work on sleep habits as well. It's not just about weight loss and nutrition and getting that in order. It's about all the unconscious stuff that's happening. A lot of people don't sleep well. And a lot of people claim that they sleep well. But one of the things that we teach something called twilight. And what twilight means is whatever time you're going to get into bed and go to sleep, 1 hour prior, no technology. Now, we don't understand how powerful the outside in externals are and how they manipulate us. We've talked a little bit about this, but you want to talk about unconscious behavior. How many times do you reach for your phone? I mean, you have been unconsciously trained to live by that phone.
Is the number 1,200 times a day or 2,400
like
times?
Yeah. I mean, every now and then you should go look at your usage. I work to decrease my hours on there. But my point is that I don't want any outside in effect. I want to sit there and have an hour before I go to sleep talking with my chicken. Now, in the morning, I just told you about this fragile time. This will change everybody's life. And if everybody, I see we got a lot of people on listening live right now. So get in the chat and let us know if you resonate with this. And let us know if you look at your phone right before you go to bed. And also, do you look at your phone right when you wake up? Because I can tell you something. What I'm telling you is that this first 15 minutes to a half hour of your morning is going to set you up to where you can handle adversity with grace. Right? Somebody says something to you, some misfortune happens, some circumstance happened, and you handle it no problem. You say, this is not happening to me, this is happening for me. All these things. You decide what matters, what doesn't. You also look and if you set your morning up the right way, you say, hey, that's not my job. That's not my bag, baby. I'm not in control of that. That's the value. But one of the mistakes people make, and I want people to be honest, get in the chat and tell us, do you look at your phone when you wake up? I understand. I did that most of my life. I was trained to do that. But as soon as you pick up that phone, you're gambling. You're taking a big risk, because first thing you'll see is a notification. So the first thing I learned, I turned off all my notifications, Howie. I went into my settings under my phone and I turned off all my instant messenger, my Facebook. That's why sometimes I don't get back to you so fast. And my text messages, all that garbage. And if you're out there playing Candy Crush and all that stuff, distracting yourself from reality, those games are talking to you as well. They're saying, hey, it's time to level up and all that stuff. Get rid of all that crap, right? But don't pick up your phone. if you're using your phone as an alarm clock, it's dangerous because then you have an excuse. I got to use it. It's an alarm clock. But as soon as I pick up that phone,
Just so everybody knows, because I don't know how many people Alexa will work just fine. You just reach over to Alexa, Alexa, wake me up at 5 or whatever time you want to get up, and it works fine. So that was one of my.
This is my alarm clock. This guy right here at 4:30 knows it's time to eat. This is Samson. He jumps on my head and he starts to hit my head. But my point is, you're at risk of being affected by something or someone. News. Listen, I know that everybody needs to have their finger on the pulse of news, but not in the first hour of your day. Because remember something, as your computer boots up and it's getting ready and it's booting up a program that's setting you up for success that day, remember, win the morning, win the day. And if you allow outside stuff, you're gambling. You're gambling. So one of the things that I do is I know where my phone is, but I make sure buzzers off and all that. So when I'm going through my morning ritual and I'm reading and all that, nothing. The first time I touch my phone, and you can look at my Instagram account and see, it's usually at like 6 or something like that when I post. I've already booted up and I start to get my creativity from reading my books and things like that. By the way, reading a fantastic book from my good friend, probably '2 best-selling book right now. It's called Limitless by Jim Quick. Fantastic
I
book.
saw you quoted that today, and some of that quotes from there were just really great. JC, the other thing that people are guilty of is going in. They say, I got to look at my phone in the middle of the night when they get up to go to the bathroom. What could be good doing? What good are you doing at 3 in the morning when you got to go to the bathroom and you're reading whatever?
Nervous energy. You know, remember something. The hardest thing to do in life is face reality. What Howie and I are talking about every other Wednesday is how to embrace reality, right? How to see the bright side of things. So that's the value of showing up here, and that's the value of what we coach. You know, we teach people how to get control over their lives with their physical, their mental, and their financial. But it's how you look at the world. Perception is everything. So if you're messing around with this stuff, and I'm seeing in the chat, on the online chat, I'm seeing a lot of people resonate. They're saying, oh, I'm allowing this to happen at night. Ugh, you know, I do this in the morning. It's okay. Most people do, and most people are unaware of it. But what I'm telling you is play around in this sandbox and don't allow your boot up to be affected by a virus. Right? Now, we hope that we get good news. You hope you pick up your phone. It goes, you just won. You won, and today's going to be a great day. That's not what your phone says. People wake up in the morning and they go, hey, I got a problem. I got a problem, and I want you to deal with it. So let go of that. You're not ready to deal with those problems. And what we don't know is they set us up to see the dark side of the moon all day.
Yeah, and you know, we allow these things. You know, how many times have you heard about that 1 hour twilight before you actually go to sleep? And you know, I see it. I mean, you know, I raised 3 children that their computers were in their bed. They grew up on that. I mean, that was, you know, because their TV programs are on it and their instant messaging and their Facebook.
We used to have little toys. We'd go, and our parents used to say, put those toys away, go to bed.
Yeah, but I think being consistent is another thing. You know, consistently having good core, because like we talk about all the time, to create a habit takes 66 days or somewhere roughly around there.
Easy habit, 66.
Right, 66 days. So if you started to get up 1 minute earlier tomorrow, in 66 days, if you did a minute a day, you know, you'd be over an hour earlier. But what I find incredibly amazing is that you and I, at times, will converse at 6 in the morning, 6:15. How many of my peers that are living that bright side, that are doing things in service, that are helping others and making a difference, are already up and deep into their day, and it's only 6:30 in the morning?
Well, think about it, Howie. Think about the relationship you and I have. Without getting into particulars, what I sent you this morning at 6 or whatever, positive or negative?
Positive.
Right? What the hell would I do that for? Now,
70.
who is that? Is that just a win for you?
No, for you too.
Right. So here's another part of this, folks, right? So here we are selfishly saying, how do I set myself up for a better day? I want to win the day. Well, I can tell you something. You know who's winning the most right now? Howie and I, because we're sharing this information with you. You see? So that's another aspect of it. You know, if you learn something here today, give it away. That's how it's going to stay. That's what I always used to say, right? So another aspect of this is pay things forward. When you learn something, apply it, experience the win, 100% win from this stuff. And nobody is going to be able to tell me that they have to look at their phone in the morning. Okay, if somebody's in the hospital and there's an emergency and somebody's having a baby, I get it. You're off the hook. Everybody else, BS, right? There's no reason to do that. So you know that this will improve your life. So it's really just a matter of if you've decided you want to improve your life or not, right? So that's an important thing. But once you start playing around in this magical sandbox and you start to get wins, if you want to really take ownership of those wins, go out and share it. Let's see. Howie does a podcast or a live on Facebook every day, and so do I. I wonder why. Is that for everyone else? A little bit. Howie is practicing his craft every day by teaching other people how to be positive. So there's a clue right there. Share positivity with other people, help other people up, and you win the most.
And we talk about that all the time. I think we touched about that last week too, when we talk about, what's our why? Why do we go out and do that? Sure, helping a lot of people, but we feel great doing it too. And, that routine that I have every morning of going live with something positive, boy, does that help set my day up in the right direction.
Makes you feel important. Makes you feel important. Guys, everybody just wants to matter. Right? Everything you think is important is not really important, right? What you're going to care about at the last 10 minutes of your life is, do I matter? Was I useful, right? That's what you leave behind. That's your legacy, right? So yeah, get out there and help people. We spend so much time struggling to win for ourselves. Sometimes often the healing happens from helping others heal. I feel better after this.
So do I. It's great. I know that we're going to try and keep this to a half an hour. So we're going to just wrap it up here in a couple of minutes. I guess today it was, thank you, Alice. Appreciate that. Today was really just to touch upon the bright side, getting out of bed in the morning and being grateful from that moment that you awake, being thankful and recognizing that you are thankful for the air you breathe and the side of the bed that you're waking up. Thank you, Donnie. I appreciate that. That's why you keep your phone there so you can get up at 4 o'clock to watch me. Do we give him permission for that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody's in their own reality. What my hope and my dream is that we all, the whole world will benefit from this, but we are just so full of unlimited potential and possibilities. One of my affirmations that I say every morning to myself, been saying this for years, is today I accept the potential for greatness, right? I love the word potential. Right? Because the truth is I have no idea how awesome this day is going to be. Now, if I'm worried about it because I went on the Facebook feed right away, then I'm pretty sure this day is going to suck, right? And I start to go in that defensive victim mode. But when you do this and when you execute this, and it takes time and you have to build discipline around it until you get afraid of not waking up and doing your routine. That's how you'll know it's sticking, is you're worried about something interrupting your routine. When I ride my Peloton, I used to hate it. Now I'm worried about not doing it. And the last thing is I want to say before you close it up is all human beings want the same things. This is what I know about all of you. Every single one of you wants to be happier, healthier, and wealthier. You're all seekers of the. This is what I know for sure. I know what you want. You're just struggling with the execution of it, and it's based on your belief system. You've been taught by your mother, father, teacher, and preacher what you can and cannot do, what you should and should not do. But I know what you want. So if you woke up and you have a window of opportunity, that's what Howie and I do for a living. We look to see if people's windows are open, because if your window is open, like ours was when we began this journey, reach out and just say, I woke up today and I want to start over. I want to reset. I want to redo. I want to start moving in the right direction, and I want to start seeing the bright side.
And we're here for that. Just reach out to us. You know, we just had a question. I know you just got back from your first travel in a while. You were out at Sundance, and Jamie wanted to know how your trip was, and maybe just a little bit about what you were doing out there, and share. I mean, because I know how excited I am for what you've shared with me about our program.
I was out there for a leadership retreat. So our company has about 40,000 coaches. We're going international now, and this was the top 110 of it, and it's just an amazing. Hard to explain, but we were at Robert Redford Sundance, where the creative process was birthed, Sundance Film Festival, and we're just going over high level stuff. The theme of it is the idea of being a leader is not just somebody that has people follow. It's somebody that takes ownership and becomes what we call a steward. Think about what it means to be a steward of something. Are you so passionate about something that you become a steward of it? So we were talking about that, and it was an amazing growth process. We brought all these great speakers in. But the craziest thing that happened is while I was out there, in the middle of the speaking, because we were outside doing this outside amphitheater up on the mountain, it was beautiful. There's a 3,000 acre forest fire going on a mile from us, and we had to evacuate. But the obstacle is the way. We took advantage. We saw the bright side, and you know what we did? Instead of going out to the access road and taking a right to go back to the airport, we had to take a left and go through the Alpine Loop, which was the most gorgeous adventure with these big, beautiful birch trees, and we stopped, and Chicken and I took pictures and everything. So there's another example. Forest fire, redirect, beauty.
The obstacle is the way.
Thank God for that obstacle.
Yeah, and they seem to just always come. So it's how you deal with them, be prepared for them, and go in with a great attitude. So we'll continue to build on this series. We'll do it again in 2 weeks. Mark your calendars. 2 weeks, I believe it'll be a day after the upcoming election. So it could be a little interesting.
Perfect. We'll talk about the fly on his head. Bye-bye.
That'll be great. Thanks, JC. Appreciate it, buddy. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.